You're close with Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez of New York. Some of your fellow House Democrats say, and not just progressives, by the way, we've heard that moderates have said this too, that they're ready to support her to challenge Chuck Schumer in a Democratic primary. Would you get behind that?
That's 4 years from now. If you were asking me at least in 2 years, then I would have an absolute answer. But I can tell you that there are a lot of people that are watching his leadership in this moment. This is the moment. We don't even know what elections will look like in 4 years, if we will have elections. And so I definitely think that younger, fresher leadership may be something that many of us, not just depending on what part of the spectrum you're on, but many Americans may be looking for, especially in the state of New York.
All right, guys, we got to talk about the best soap opera on cable news today, the downfall of the Democrat Party, okay? A party that is currently imploding under the weight of its insanity, okay, and Trump derangement, right? That is currently what is happening to the Democrat Party, and they're currently in a state of free fall, okay, humiliation and embarrassment, okay, which tends to happen almost on a daily basis now, okay? It is really bad for the Democrats, okay? They're openly fighting with each other in public. You had Nancy Pelosi call out Chuck Schumer for voting to end the filibuster, something that Democrats said was racist, okay, a relic of Jim Crow, okay? But Chuck Schumer decided to end the filibuster to allow a simple majority vote on keeping the government open. And a lot of extremists in the Democrat Party saw this as treason, okay? And now they're basically calling for Chuck Schumer to step down, okay? The leadership of the Democrat Party is now facing regime change, okay? And we've seen this happen before with the Democrats, right? Joe Biden, they took out Joe Biden. Why can't they take out Chuck Schumer, right? I'm just saying, he's next on the chopping block. But my point is that Democrats are in an absolute state of chaos. Again, they are openly attacking each other on national television.
Topic of discussion among Democrats. Last week, you were one of those who participated in a Choose Your Fighter video. It got some criticism online, including Democratic Senator John Fetterman called it bizarre and reportedly mocked it in the Senate hallway. I will say that your punching looked better than some of your colleagues. Fetterman has been criticizing your party for undignified antics and a sad cavalcade of cell phones during the president's address to Congress. What's your response to Senator Fetterman?
He's not the one to talk about anything. I mean, this is a guy that doesn't seemingly want to own a suit. I'm not really sure. But I don't show up in hoodies when I'm going on the floor. And so the idea that you would say that we could not have a moment in which an influencer asked us to do this. Now, I'll be perfectly honest with you and tell you that when she asked me to jump, I said, did you ask my older colleagues to do this? Because I feel like you're picking on me because you think that my knees are a little younger. And I did not know who all was in this particular trend whatsoever. And I think that it is important that people see that we're real people. And even if that means that there's a moment to laugh, that's okay, especially since it seems like we're doing more crying than anything. But just know that we were not on the House floor jumping around at all, whereas Senator Fetterman is consistently walking around the Senate chamber. And he is walking around in such a way that they literally had to change the rules in the Senate so that he could walk around that way. So I just don't think that he's necessarily the one to actually have an opinion about this.
But meanwhile, when it comes to President Trump, he actually has some good news, okay, that we got to talk about before we get into the bad news for the Democrats, because President Trump has achieved something that hasn't been achieved in about 20 years when it comes to how people feel about the direction of this country, okay? Because, again, the first time in about 20 years, the American people, at least 44% of the American people, feel like this country is moving in the right direction, which, again, is the highest that it's been in a long time.
First of all, the mood of the country, this really jumped out. We ask folks, is it on the right direction or the wrong direction? That 44% you say right direction, that's up since November. And if that doesn't seem like a lot, the last time it cracked 40%, you got to go back to 2012. The last time it actually hit 44 or higher, January of 2004. So a lot of this is Republicans, but independents, that number is also up since the election on the direction of the country. Also, just Trump and his base, we monitor this. Among Republicans, look at this, basically 3 out of 4 Republicans say it's a very positive view they have of Trump, not just positive. Again, at this point in his first term, it was only 50. It's just the strengthening of that base, the tightness they feel in terms of their connection with him. And then there's the Trump agenda. There are some popular elements of it here. Handling of border security and the immigration issue. 55% approval. That goes beyond his base. You see right there. You hear about Doge there in the setup. And broadly speaking, the people do think this is a popular idea here. A good idea, 46%. Bad idea, 40%. Look at it this way. When you ask folks, what should Doge be doing going forward? A third say much more. 28% say Doge is needed, just needs to slow the pace down. But that's 61% total who seem to say that Doge is basically a good thing, a necessary thing right now. Where it gets complicated for Trump, the man who's leading Doge, negative 51%, wow. A majority negative rating for Elon Musk right here. Also, federal workers, we just asked folks, do you have a positive, negative view? Much more positive than negative in terms of federal workers. And then for Trump, there is, we say, not slippage since the election, but the warning signs. And it's on broader areas of his leadership. Look at this. And all of these areas you see right here, Kristen, foreign policy, the Russia-Ukraine war, majority disapproval at this point for Trump.
And the economy is a red flag because that's the lowest number we have seen on the economy in the history of our poll for President Trump.
That's right. In his first term, this was the exception. He had low numbers overall his first term, but not on the economy.
Yeah, so the good news for President Trump is that more voters feel like the country is going in the right direction than we've ever had in the last 20 years, okay, since the beginning of Bush's second term, okay? And also on top of that, when it comes to Republicans are very satisfied with what President Trump has done thus far, okay? So that means that, hey, more people feel like we're going in the right direction, okay, than we've had in a long time, and President Trump's base is still there, right? That is good. Now, when it comes to the bad news for President Trump is that when it comes to the economy, and again, that's assuming that these polls are accurate. I don't know. A lot of these polls are probably rigged. I mean, actually, we know they were rigged because they rigged them during the election. So these are probably rigged too. But at the very least, again, they give us some numbers, some things to talk about. But when it comes to the economy, nobody can deny that, okay, yes, the economy right now is not good, okay? However, what people got to understand is that we're going through a period of transition, and the goal for the economy is for the economy to be booming going into the midterms, okay? Because at this point, it's going to take time to undo the excesses of Biden's economy, which led to the massive inflation, okay? President Trump is trying to deal with inflation right now. That's basically what the tariffs are kind of about as well, too, okay? I think we're about to find out real quick if tariffs are actually inflationary. My gut feeling is that they're not, okay, because tariffs are taxes and taxes are not inflation, okay? Those are two different things. But we're going to see, because we're already seeing inflation come down, okay? And if inflation can continue to come down quickly and get under 2%, then at that point, things are going to be looking very good for the economy in the next year, okay? Because the Feds are going to start to drop interest rates. Yields are going to come down. People are going to be able to borrow money cheaply again. The GOP is going to give a supply side stimulus. Okay, they're going to give more tax cuts. They're going to deregulate. Jobs are going to be booming. The private sector is going to be booming. We're going to see an economic boom like we've never seen before. It's almost like, I want to call it like a slingshot, right? It's a very ballsy thing that the president is doing, okay? But I think it's going to pay off. I really do. Right, I just see the play, right? I think most smart people see the play right now from the Trump administration, and most smart people understand, okay, like the economy right now is not what they're betting on, okay? Like this is Biden's economy. We might as well just do what we got to do to put the economy on the right track going into the midterms, okay? Instead of risking having to continue to deal with the problem of stagflation. So my point is that the economy is going to get better, right? What really matters is what is the economy like going into the midterms and going into 2028. When it comes to Ukraine and foreign policy, that's also definitely going to get better, right? Again, I don't really believe these polls, okay? But I'm just saying that if the numbers are at least somewhat accurate, once people actually see what happens when Ukraine and Russia agree to peace, which it looks like they're about to do, right? Once that peace agreement is done and we stop fighting, right? There's no more fighting. I guarantee you President Trump's numbers are going to skyrocket because a lot of these people are going to have to admit, oh, wait, peace is better than war, right? Like they're going to admit, oh, wait, the world didn't end because Ukraine stopped fighting Russia, right? Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, I think that's what people are going to find out. And this is why I am extremely optimistic about 1 year from now, right? Going into the midterms, I'm extremely optimistic, okay? With that being said, Democrats, though, don't have much to be optimistic about at all, okay? Because their party is completely and totally in the tank, okay? Not just overall with the American people, but with their own voters, okay? As they engage in infighting, what could be regime change in the Democrat Party, as their voter base basically rejects the party as a whole, right? Like, this is really bad for Democrats, historically bad for Democrats.
You know, I'm a big fan of the oldies, and when it comes to the feelings that Americans, voters at large, and Democrats have, I can't help but think of Chubby Checker. Why is that? Because the question is, how low can you go? Voters' views of Democrats in Congress, the lowest ever approval ratings on record per Quinnipiac University. Look at this. Approve, 21% among all voters. Look at the disapprove level. Holy Toledo, 68% of all voters disapprove of how Democrats are doing in Congress. Now, you might think that is low, and this is the lowest number on your screen here down at 21%. But I want to bring you over here to how Democratic voters feel, because this is truly unbelievable. Amongst their own party, how do Democratic representatives, senators, how are they viewed? Get this, the plurality disapprove at 49%. More Democrats disapprove of the job that their party is doing in Congress than approve. Get this, only 40% approve. These are truly horrific numbers. They are in the trash bin of history. That is how low these approval ratings are. When you can't even get plurality approval among your own party, you know you're doing something wrong in the eyes of the American public.
They are in the trash bin of history. Yikes.
Yeah, trash bin of history. Wow. When CNN is saying that your party is in the trash bin of history, you know it's bad. Okay, you know, I mean, the Democrat Party specifically, right? When CNN is saying that the Democrat Party is in the trash bin of history, it is bad, real bad, okay? And it just keeps getting worse. That is what is unbelievable about this, right? It just continues to get worse for the Democrats, okay? There's no light at the end of the tunnel, okay? I can tell you guys when it comes to Trump administration, the economy, like there's light at the end of the tunnel. Like I see it. Like I clearly see the light. When it comes to Democrats, there is no light. I don't see how Democrats can get out of this. And the reason why is because their base is too extreme. They're too extreme, right? Like Democrats can't appeal to the far left while at the same time appealing to moderates. They're just incompatible because that's how extreme the left has become, right? Which basically backs up the theory that, yeah, the left basically has become way more extreme than the right has become extreme, right? Because the leftists will argue that, no, we're not that left. It's that the right has gotten more extreme, right? And that's why they push anybody like, for example, Bill Maher or Joe Rogan who doesn't agree with them. They'll say, oh, well, they're conservatives, right? And that, you know, Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi, they're centrist Democrats, right? Centrist. This is what they call Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi. So you got to understand just how extreme like the Democrat Party base has become. Like they're socialist, okay? Like that's not an exaggeration. It used to be an exaggeration, right? It really legitimately used to be, but no, they're just full-blown socialists at this point, right? And a lot of them are communist, okay? So when that is the base of your party, and they're all woke, okay? From the social issue standpoint, they're all woke, which is extremely unpopular, right? When it comes to social issues. You can't thread that needle, right? As a Democrat, it is really hard to thread that needle. Really hard to thread that needle. Kamala couldn't do it. Joe Biden couldn't do it. They don't have anybody that can do it at all because it's not possible, right? They're going to have to choose. Do you want to be a sane party or do you want to be a party that's not sane? Who do you want to appeal to? You can't have both. You can't have your cake and eat it too. If Democrats choose to appeal to the Looney Tunes, they're going to lose the same people. If they try to appeal to the same people, they're going to lose the Looney Tunes. And this is the fate of the Democrat Party. And they 100% deserve it. They 100% deserve it. Okay? So this is why they're trying really hard. They're doing overtime to try to pretend as if under Trump administration, the sky is falling, everything is bad, it's terrible. In the media, they're repeating the same talking points because their only hope is that Trump lays an egg so bad that it basically revives the historically unpopular Democrat Party. It still gives them a chance to be competitive. I don't think it's going to happen. And the reason why I don't think it's going to happen is because President Trump, again, is taking a hit right now when it does not matter, right? I mean, it matters in regards to how people are doing, right, at the time. I get that. But what I'm saying is that from an election standpoint, the state of the economy going into the midterms is what's actually really going to matter. If the economy is booming, if interest rates have been lowered, if the GOP tax cuts have been in effect long enough for the businesses to benefit, to stimulate production, okay, more real job growth, private sector job growth, which I believe is going to happen as a result of the deregulation and the tax cuts, if that is happening right before the midterms, it's over for Democrats. It's over, okay? So I think that's what the Republicans are banking on. But the Democrats are banking on President Trump laying an egg, right? But I'm telling you right now, like, President Trump is making the economic moves that he needs to make in order to set up that scenario that is going to be beneficial towards him and the GOP going into the midterms from an economic perspective. He's setting that up right now, okay? This is why I'm not worried. I'm not panicking at all. I'm not doing any of that stuff. I understand exactly what's going on. I know exactly what the administration is trying to do, right? They're doing what they have to do, right? Again, it's not going to be super popular at first, but in the long run, people are going to be like, damn, that was genius, right? That's what's going to happen. That's what I believe personally. So we'll see what will happen. I can be wrong, but I'm just saying that at this point, I think Democrats are making a bad bet. They're going to have to choose what type of party they want to be and hope that they can compete with that, because trying to thread the needle between the lunatics and the sane people, I just don't think it's going to work.
Okay, so what do Democrats then want out of their congressional Democrats?
Yeah, what do Democrats want from their own party, right?
Yeah.
Do they want them to agree with Trump more, or do they want them to oppose Trump more? Okay, Democrats in Congress oppose Trump too often, just 4%. How about the right amount? Just 19%. How about not enough? You don't have to be a mathematical genius to know that this is the largest number on your screen. 77% of Democratic voters say that their party in Congress does not oppose Donald Trump nearly enough. So you might be thinking to yourself, with this shutdown that did not actually happen, where the Democrats gave Trump and the Republicans the votes, I can tell you with pretty much no doubt that their party, at least in the American public, does not like that. They want them to fight Trump more. When you get 77% of your own party agreeing on something, you know that is the direction that they wish their representatives and senators in Congress in Washington actually went.
Interesting. And had there been a government shutdown, would it have hurt Democrats among all voters?
Right. So we're talking about
the big question.
Yeah, that's the big question, right? Because amongst Democrats, we know that they wanted their representatives and senators in Washington to fight Trump more. But what about the entire public? Because sometimes there's disagreements between those two sides, right? And if perhaps they had forced a shutdown, or they had not given Republicans the votes, that might have actually been something bad amongst the overall public, right? That might have backfired amongst the overall public. But in this particular case, I think the Democratic base was in the right position here, at least when it comes to the American public. Because take a look here. Blame for a government shutdown. Just 32% of voters would have blamed the Democrats in Congress. Look at this. 53% would have said Trump or the Republicans in Congress. Democrats would not have been blamed for a shutdown based upon the numbers that we have seen. Now, an actual shutdown might have played out a little bit differently, but at least on the polling data that we have, Jessica, everything was saying that Democrats should not give in to Trump and the Republicans in Congress. They should have, in fact, taken a stance, because that's what their base wanted, and the American public would have sided with them as well. The bottom line is Republicans and Trump would have been blamed in this case, not the Democrats in Congress. I'm honestly not quite sure exactly what Chuck Schumer was thinking, at least when it comes to the American public and the blame game.
Okay, so I can tell you exactly what Chuck Schumer was thinking, because this guy basically is not being 100% honest about the numbers, right? Notice down here, okay, I'm not sure if you guys can see it, but there's an asterisk. It says 22% said they'll blame Trump and 31% said GOP in Congress. So what CNN decided to do to push the narrative that Democrats should have shut down the government against Trump is that they combined the people who said just Trump and the people who said just GOP to make the number a lot bigger than it is, to make it seem as if most people would not have blamed the Democrats. But in reality, it wasn't Trump and the GOP in Congress. That wasn't the question. It was Trump or the GOP in Congress. And when people are choosing between three options, okay, the plurality of voters choose the Democrats, right? 32% choose the Democrats versus 22% just blame Trump only, right? And 31% just blaming the GOP only, right? Like a plurality are blaming Democrats. So Democrats would have actually took most of the blame, but that's not the way this guy is presenting the results, okay? Because for whatever reason, CNN wants to encourage Democrats to further humiliate their party by basically issuing a government shutdown, which would have allowed President Trump to go even further with cutting the federal government. It just would have been a very dumb thing to do, right? I think that Schumer made the right move to avoid the government shutdown from a political perspective. It's just that at this point, the Democrat base is so radical and Trump deranged that they don't care about any type of principle or anything like that. Because these are the same people that wanted to abolish the filibuster. Now they are upset with Chuck Schumer for ending the filibuster when they said they didn't really believe in it, right? It was racist. But again, that's what Trump derangement does, right? Democrats don't stand for anything except against Trump. And who knows, maybe that's what Democrat voters want. But I don't think the majority of the American people want that, okay? I think the majority of the American people want the Democrats to work with President Trump on things that are popular, like, for example, to work with him sincerely when it comes to trying to close the border, okay? Or when it comes to the mass deportations, okay? Get rid of the sanctuary cities. That's what Democrats should be trying to do. That's what they should be doing. They should be cooperating with these mass deportations. But that's not what they're doing, right? They're trying to oppose Trump, and their approval just continues to get lower and lower, right? People don't approve of the Democrat Party, and they also don't like the Democrat. They actively disapprove of the Democrats, right? That's the crazy part, okay? And a lot of that is coming because all they do is just, run around and cry about Trump all day, right? It's just nothing but Trump derangement. Nothing but Trump derangement, which has put them in some very weird positions politically. And as long as they're Trump deranged, they don't have a shot. They don't have a shot at all, okay? But hey, we'll see what happens. I don't think it's going to get better for them. I personally think that the radicals and the Democrats will win, right? They're going to try to make a blue tea party, right? They're going to overthrow some of these establishment leaders, right? I think that's what they're going to try to do, right? They're going to have AOC take on Chuck Schumer, right? She's going to become a leader. Jasmine Crockett is going to become a leader. Yeah, the radicals, who knows? They might take over the party. And if they take over the party, the Democrats are definitely done, right? Definitely done. So we'll see what happens. But let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.